necessaries, ladies of the Lyceum, friends and family. My dad once said that the honors and awards in life go to those who show their good qualities in action. And that's all I've really done. Tried to do as much good as I could with what our Lord God gave me. I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for Him. His blessings, His humbling lessons, His grace. It really is an honor to be recognized by an institution like this that has such a long history and does so much to promote our culture and heritage. That's for the Lyceum. Today, I'd like to speak about being like water. I think after spending the last 20 years in it, I should be able to share some insights. I know it sounds simple, but there is tremendous power to being like water. Water is far more complex than we think. Just because we're familiar with it, it doesn't mean that we understand it. It's one of the most powerful elements on earth, but it works in the most gentle, supporting, nurturing, and profound way to restore wholeness and balance. Kind of like women. In fact, in Eastern medicine, it is the element of ultimate yin, consolidation, stillness, inwardness, nurture, the feminine, the power of the seed, the womb. It is the foundation of all living processes. It sinks to the deepest place. It stores power and the potential for growth. One of its primary characteristics is change. Water yields to the form that enters it, and at the same time encompasses that form and becomes that form. In turn, it encourages that form to become like water, to flow and change and move. Change and movement are the driving force of the universe, and the smallest shift on any level can cause an avalanche of change. This applies to the macrocosm and to the microcosm, to the group and to the individual. To be like water is love in action, embracing the world and the people around you, sinking to the deepest, darkest parts of it, to understand it, to nourish it, and care for it, and where necessary, to change it. That change needs to first happen inside yourself, in your thinking, in your doing, and it will spiral outwards to inspire change in the person next to you, to the community around you, and to the world around that community. At the World Economic Forum in Davos this year, it was revealed in a report that at the rate we are going, it will take another 131 years for developed countries to achieve gender equity, and another 257 years to achieve gender pay equity. Our world today is facing many challenges: wars, climate crises, political divides, extreme corruption and wealth inequality. And part of the problem is that there aren't enough women seated at the tables of power, making the decisions that matter. If they were, I believe the world would be a very different place. So where do we start? What can we change? Let's start by looking inward. Ask yourself and be really honest. Do I really believe I'm equal to a man? Different, but equal.
Exactly.
I know that for the most part of my life, I didn't. I was raised in a traditional Greek household, where the man was the breadwinner, where I belonged to either my father or my husband, as is reflected in the possessive noun of my Greek surname. I was fortunate to be born in a time when it was okay for women to be educated. My grandmother was not so fortunate. She also didn't have the right to vote. I'm ashamed to say that there was a part of me that rejoiced when I gave birth to a son. Because something in my patriarchal Greek DNA believed that boys had more rights and privileges. I realize now that I was conditioned by my family, by my community, to believe that my role as a girl and a woman had very specific limitations. Thank God that's changed, and that the world has changed in its perception of women. We've come a very long way, but we still have a very long way to go. And the first step is to look inside and truly believe that we are equal. Then we can easily spot the injustices and begin to highlight them and start the chain reaction of change. Many girls are still conditioned from birth that they are inferior. And because they are so much like water, they allow themselves to be shaped and go with the flow. It's wrong. Deep down, even the men know it's wrong. Just as we knew deep down during apartheid that our treatment of black people was wrong. But does anyone say anything or do anything? I know I don't. I'm just a drop. What difference will one drop make? Let's look at it differently though. The poet Rumi said that you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in one drop. In our homes and families and communities, do we treat boy children and girl children the same? Do we perceive them as equal? Or do we apply cultural stereotypes and let the boys and men off the house duties because they are male, even though women are also breadwinners? Do they cook or clean up or do the caregiving? If the answer is yes, bravo. If not, we've got some lessons to learn from water. We need to model equality and respect at home and in our communities and all our children and grandchildren, and not to teach them that certain roles are reserved for each gender, or that women deserve less than men. When they grow up and enter the workplace, that pay gap won't exist anymore. In their communities, in their companies, in their countries, women won't need to fight against prejudices to lead, because they already know that they're equal and just as capable. Men are wonderful too. I'm married to the most amazing one and have the most amazing son together. My husband is one of the most righteous, refined, and caring men that I know. And I really owe a lot of my success to him for being that gentle force that allowed me to blossom and come into my power in the way that I have. He showed me that being a gentleman isn't about opening doors and pulling out chairs. It's about respecting and loving my strengths, nurturing them and letting them bear fruit. And the home is a happy, healthy place for it. It starts with all of us, men and women, bringing our drops together, rephrasing the narrative of what a good Greek household looks like, standing up to abuse and injustice, supporting the victims of it, and becoming a powerhouse that will bring full equality. Institutions like this that represent all of us should chime in unison for the injustices to stop. We've not come this far because equality was given to us. Women fought, many were tortured, lost everything that they had. Some lost their lives for us to have the freedoms, rights, and privileges that we enjoy today. They were the tsunami waves that crashed into the rocks and broke through. We don't have to be those waves. We can simply lap at those jagged edges, and they'll become smoother. Eventually, the rock will melt away. Pir Yini Kesalasa, from the ancient poet and anti-feminist Menandro, to describe the evil forces of the world: fire, woman, and the sea. It's very sad that this phrase has entrenched itself in our culture. and is still used today to remind us that we are evil. Well, I'm turning it on its head. Thalassa, uni, kapir. Reverse that. The sea, the abundance of water where creation thrives, it brings us back to ourselves, our true essence, our inner power. It's like going back to the beginning, to our real home, to the source of life itself. So gentle, but so powerful. Be that drop, and together let's be that ocean that really believes in equality, laps away at the injustices, and fires out into the world a brightness that is true and good and right. And boy, will those effects be far-reaching, because the power of the ocean is in every drop. Thank you.